These locally produced cereals are processed into finished goods. Items such as chakri, findi, mbahal, hot pepper sauce and jam are bottled and well packaged. For her part, Grts, assistant food processor of the association, stressed the need for a mechanism at regional and national levels to coordinate the efforts of food processors in the country.
We have a lot of constraints. Our constraint is like we want to improve first on this. She has done this on her own. That is Jal Yasin by Jal's Foods. So she has done this on her own, but like we are 5 working with her, but we would want to improve more. The improvement is 1, on the packaging. If you check, some of the packs are different. Some of them has labels, some of them don't have. So that means there is constraint somewhere, somehow. My packaging is different from the other packaging. I use Ziploc bags. So, and we want it to be unique. If you are working in an environment where everybody is thinking of the same thing, we should all work together and have the same thing.
What must have inspired you to come together to actualize such a wonderful project?
What happened is everybody works on their own. We started individual. Everybody does small thing in her own house, in their own kitchens. Yeah, but she came up with this with her own financial help or from her family members or wherever, and then she has built up this thing. So we thought it's best to come and work with her so that anybody who is about to help us will know, will tell the person where we want improved, how we want it improved, until we get a bigger space for everybody, not only 5 of us, and more people to work on this, because we said food processing, and everybody is concerned about food. Like already the Gambia has food problems. We are hearing of food shortages in the CRR, URR, and other places. Actually, the whole Gambia, I should say. So we all have that kind of problem. So with food processing, it should be, if there is no food, what can we process? We cannot process anything. So that's why we are appealing for help to be able to buy the raw material itself, to be able to improve, because if they see this, they'll know there is room for improvement in areas. So we need those kind of improvements and then other inputs. Because if we think there are other people with hygienic things to come along, improve this, do that, because you can see we have already, she has 2 solar dryers. Maybe we need more solar dryers. Instead of drying outside with the groundnuts you see it's outside, maybe we need it in an enclosed area or whatever.
Okay. Food processing is a very, it's not a much developed industry in the Gambia here, because most of the foods that we Gambians use or we consume is imported. But this project that you women have come up, you've seen that you use locally made products. Yeah, how important is this for the Gambia and for the food processing industry?
Local foods, like the president is encouraging people to go back to the land. If they go back to the land, you farm. Where do you sell? You cannot eat everything. So that means the food processors have to buy the raw materials and start to process it. So, but other people, people like to import, maybe to be important, or I don't know, to buy from the supermarkets. But I think the things that are locally grown, locally eaten, are more hygienic or are fresher. The other ones, you don't know where they come from. Like if start with the juice. You go and buy these juices, the small ones. Here, Jal, we have the wonjo. You can use that to prepare for your kid, or the baobab, to make baobab juice for your kids to take to school. Why don't, if you don't start encouraging your kids to use those local foods now, they cannot. Like the carao, you can make carao, maybe not every day, but during the weekends, you are at home, you can use the carao or the churagerte or chakri for dinner. You can use it for dinner and not only for breakfast. But people don't like to use the local foods. One is like they don't want to use it. Attitudinal change should happen. People should be, what? More educated. to show that the food is healthy, it's hygienic, it's done under strict hygienic conditions. You can see we are trying, it's not much, but we are trying our level best to have it to standard.
This association supports lots of Gambian women and encourage them into local food processing and preservation, as they plan to build a processing plant for vegetables that can compete in international markets. This will help explore potential source of supply of the needed goods and patronize more women by buying their vegetable, chicken and other farm produce.
Welcome back. Some of the executive body of the African Women in Leadership Organization recently briefed the Vice President and Women's Affairs Minister on the upcoming Women Conference to be held in the country in June 2012.
The Gambia is hosting the 4th edition of the African Women in Leadership Conference. This important event is being spearheaded by the Gambian Women's Federation and the NGO community, with support from all the distinguished women of this country. Now, we have a mission who are here with us, whose objective mainly is to see our state of readiness in preparation for this very important event, which is take place from the 13th to the 15th of June, as I said. So the press is called purposely to be told what the whole event entails as part of a mechanism to create awareness for the event.
The African Women in Leadership Conference 2012 will be the largest gathering of African women on the continent. It's a 3-day event that brings together women leaders from diverse backgrounds across the region to interact, to dialogue and discuss relevant issues aimed at empowering women to develop their leadership capability towards greater national and self-development. The conference will culminate in an awards gala dinner where awards will be presented to acknowledge and honor individuals, particularly women across the continent who have excelled in various fields. The 2012 African Women in Leadership Conference will be the 4th annual conference to be held. The maiden event was held in 2009 in Accra, Ghana, the 2nd annual event in 2010 in Abuja, Nigeria, and the most recent 2011 edition was held back in Accra, Ghana. Now, the theme for this year's conference is African Women, Empowering for Impact. The conference will be delivered in technical partnership with the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, and the discussions will focus on areas of politics, education, finance, legislature, health, science, technology and innovation, and also looking at the emotional, spiritual well-being as they affect and impact the leadership of women in Africa in all spheres of life. The objective of the African Women in Leadership Conference are as follows. They're to foster an alliance amongst African women in leadership positions, to challenge African women to aspire to take up leadership positions in their respective countries, to create awareness for women in leadership positions for proper conduct in office, to create a platform for unity, solidarity, cohesion, dialogue and networking amongst members for self-development, to influence and improve the access to legal, political, economic, educational, health services, all aimed at advancing the status of women on the continent. And finally, to promote the respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms for women on the continent. Great strides have been made in recent years by African women. Are their contributions relevant to policy making, or is the notion of increased gender participation for African women in government and society merely a political tool? In spite of the increasing numbers of women in politics and government, the exclusion of African women from key policy-making processes in Africa and at the world stage represents a major obstacle to sustainable socio-economic and political development in Africa. How does the role of the African women in politics, for instance, contribute to secure reformation for Africa and protect its political future? What strategies do African women in politics apply for impact? These are some of the questions that the conference would answer at the end of the gathering of what we see is going to be one of the biggest gathering of African women on the continent. There's a need for African women to achieve gender parity, access to finance, insurance, education,